If your car's looking super dirty, full of bugs and dirt, let me show you the best way to wash it at home. The first place I like to start with this job is by cleaning all four wheels. Now, before we start spraying any cleaners down whatsoever, it's always a good idea to grab the hose and give the wheels a good rinse. This just gets rid of that first layer of dirt and debris that's on the surface there, plus it helps your cleaners work better. Now, the product I like to use for this is this one here from Adam's Polishes. It's the wheel and tire cleaner. What you want to do with this is just spray down the entire wheel pretty generously with the cleaner. Now, what I like about this one, I've used quite a few of these in the past, but this one works really fast and you can literally see it before your eyes, just starting to melt away the grease and the grime and all the brake dust that's usually on your wheels. When it comes to scrubbing, I do like to recommend a few different tools. For the rims, a soft bristle brush is best. That way it's gonna scrub everything up really good, lift all the dirt on there, but it's not gonna cause any damage or potentially scratch your rim. Now, sometimes when cleaning the rims, it can be hard to get in all those nooks and crannies, especially depending on your size and just the configuration there. So I do like to recommend a longer wheel cleaning brush. These work really well to kind of get in all those places that your hands can't. Now, if you don't want to invest in one of those, that's okay. You can also just use a microfiber towel. Now, when it comes to cleaning the tires themselves, I do like to use a stiff bristle brush here, just because this is usually the dirtiest area and you really need some good scrubbing power. Usually this is the most satisfying part too, because they're very dirty, but just never use that stiff bristle brush on the actual rim itself because we don't want to cause any scratches. Once everything's nice and scrubbed up, it's time to give them a final rinse. Now, it's important here to remember you want to rinse away all of the cleaner there. We don't want to leave any of that behind. Now, I will say when it comes to cleaning your wheels and rims and things, sometimes it can take a few cleans, especially if they're super dirty. So on that first rinse, if you still see some dirt there, just repeat this process and clean them again. Now, a quick pro tip is to always rinse your brushes after you're done cleaning your wheels. The reason being is these things are going to be super dirty, and if you leave all that dirt and debris inside, the next time you go to wash your wheels, it could potentially scratch and cause damage. Plus, by giving them a quick rinse, not only does it get them nice and clean, but it helps them last longer. So now that the wheels are cleaned and sprayed off, it's time to move on to cleaning the rest of the car. Now, before we do anything, it's always a good idea to give the entire car a pre-rinse, kind of like an automatic car wash. But the reason this is so important is, again, we're getting rid of that first layer of dirt and debris that's on the surface there. So that way, when we come through with the later steps, we're not gonna cause any scratching or potential damage. Now, another thing I always like to look out for is kind of those nooks and crannies. Usually you'll find a few leaves and things. It's a good time to get rid of those too. For washing, I like to use a 2-bucket system. In one bucket, we're gonna have our cleaner, and then the other, just some fresh, clean water. Now, the cleaner I like to suggest is this one here from Turtle Wax. It's the Max Power. Now, in this bucket, I think I have about 6 ounces, give or take. It's not super precise. I kind of just like to eyeball it. Now, the one nice thing about this cleaner is you can actually mix it depending on how dirty your car is to the strength that you need. You can go from moderate to extreme, which is really nice. And I also love that it's pretty cheap. I think it's about $7 for this container here, and it goes a long way. If you mix it at the moderate strength, you can get up to 33 washes in this one bottle. Now, the wash process is pretty simple. First, you're gonna need a wash mitt like this one here. Now, a quick thing, if you need any product that I'm using in today's video, definitely check the link down in the description. I'll have everything there for you. Now, we're gonna grab the mitt, we're gonna soak this in that soapy water bucket there. We don't wanna wring this out. We want it nice and full of soaps and suds so it helps wash the car. And then we're gonna come to the passenger or driver's side. You can choose. Personally, I like to start on the driver's side and start at the top there and clean my way down to the ground. The reason it's a good idea to kind of clean in sections is that way you're not gonna miss anything, but also you can clean that entire area there, get it nice and scrubbed up, and then give it a good rinse. That way the soap doesn't dry on the surface and create spotting and issues. Now, the reason I like to use a 2-bucket system while washing a car is you're gonna need more soap on your mitt, but before we dunk this in the soap bucket, it's really important to always rinse it in the fresh water bucket here. Now, the reason you wanna do this is not only to get all the dirt and debris out of the mitt, but it's also going to keep our soap bucket nice and clean. That way this can last a lot longer, and then we're not gonna spread that dirt and things across the car and potentially scratch it and just get it more dirty. Now, I like to just kind of work myself in a 360 pattern there. Let's say you start at the driver's side, then you go to the back, then you work on the passenger side, and then you'll finish up with the front of the car. One thing to keep in mind, usually the lower portion of the car is a little more dirty just because it's so close to the road. So when I'm using my mitt there, I like to flip it on the opposite side and give that a good scrub, but don't scrub that back up in towards the top of the car there, just because more dirt and debris is going to be towards the bottom and we don't want to spread that to the top and potentially scratch. Now there's two things I always like to mention when it comes to washing your car that you should keep in mind, because I don't want you to damage anything or not have good success while you're doing this job. The first, when you use your wash mitt, always go in a straight line back and forth, because if you scrub in a circular motion, you run the risk of creating swirls or even scratching your paint. Now, I always like to mention as well to wash your car on a nice cloudy day or in the shade, because if you wash your car in the direct sunlight, the soap will dry and then it's really hard to rinse off, and it just defeats the purpose of all your hard work washing your car. Now throughout the clean, it is a good idea to dump out your fresh water bucket here, because it's gonna get sudsy and dirty, and just add some new fresh water. That way you make sure your mitt is always rinsed. Depending on how dirty your car is, you might have to clean a few areas multiple times. For instance, the lower portion of your car that's closest to the road always is a little more dirty, or even the front end of your car if you live in an area with a lot of bugs. Usually there's a lot of splatter there that can need a few cleans. Now for me, I really like to do this job on the weekend where I can just take some time, get the car nice and clean, and there is no better feeling once you're all said and done of a nice clean car the next time you go to take it for a drive. My one goal with this video was to teach you how to clean your car with just some basic things that you can get at most big box stores, or maybe you even have them around your house already. I didn't want to get too crazy with cleaning gadgets and tools. I know the detailer world has some amazing things, but sometimes you just like to keep it as simple as possible. Now, the one tool I wanted to mention, just because it can really speed up your cleaning process, is a foam cannon like this one here. These work really well to apply the soap to the entire car super evenly, but the nice thing about when you do this is the soap has time to work and break down the dirt and grime that's on the surface there. I will say, do you need this product? Not really. You can do it with just the 2-bucket system, but this just speeds everything up and it's really satisfying to use. Now, once you're done cleaning the car, it's time to give it its final rinse. Now, I will say this is a very important step, because if you don't rinse all the soap away, again, you're gonna get those soap marks, those kind of dried circles there, and your car is just not gonna look clean after all of the work you just did. So my advice is to rinse your car and then rinse it again, and then pay special attention to kind of all the nooks and crannies, like where your gas cap is, even your door handles. Sometimes soap will kind of get built up in there. Make sure to flush those out completely so there's nothing left behind. Getting the car dry as quickly as possible after that final rinse is super important, again, so we don't leave any water spots behind. So there's two things I like to recommend. Number one is a leaf blower. Now these work really well, kind of like an automatic car wash, just to blow all of that water off the surface there. I will say though, you don't have to go out and buy a specific leaf blower just for this job. I guess you can if you want to, but usually if you have one lying around the house for yard work and things, this works great to kind of get that first layer off the surface. The second thing is to invest in a really good drying towel. I have this one linked down below. This thing works amazing and it's pretty big. All you gotta do is just kind of throw it on the surface there and pull it evenly back towards yourself, and this will pick up all of the moisture from the car. The one thing about your dry towel though is you wanna make sure to keep this in tip-top shape. Do not use this to clean anything else. This towel is like gold because you don't want it to get it dirty. You just want to use this to dry the car. So if you use it to scrub anything or clean anything else, it could get contaminated with that dirt and that could cause scratches. So personally, I keep this one in the bag that I got it in after I use it and get it nice and dry, and always wash this alone without any of your other cleaning towels. That way it doesn't get any dirt built up in it and again, could cause damage. To really level up your clean and make your car sparkle, there are a few things I like to recommend you do. First, just clean all the windows with a glass cleaner. For instance, I like to use invisible glass because it's safe on tint. Now, one thing when you're washing your windows, always use a 2-towel system. That way you can clean with one towel and dry and buff with the other. That way you won't leave any streaks behind. And an area that you don't want to miss is the top of the window there. So make sure you always roll it down to clean that top. That way there's not that dirty line left behind. The second thing is to get your wheels looking nice and shiny. Now for this, I like to use this product here called VRP from Chemical Guys. It works really well. Just apply it to the tire right here and it should be nice and shiny. Now I will say the other thing that's really nice about this is called vinyl, rubber, and plastic. So if you do have any like black plastic that looks a little sun faded, just add a very little bit of this and it will bring it back to life. And there you have it. Now you know the best way to get your car nice and clean at home. Thanks so much for watching as always, and if you're new here, consider subscribing and smash that like button. I also need to give a huge thank you to the Clean Squad members over on Patreon and here on YouTube. Now, if you want to join the Clean Squad and get access to things like PDF cleaning guides or even your name credited down below, check the link in the description, and as always, I'll see you on the next clean.